Why do you think the powers that be let Prince Andrew do the interview at all?
Well, I can't be certain, but I feel like Prince Andrew was the powers that be. He was, in a sense, I've inferred over the time, like almost a bomb waiting to go off. It was clear he had things on his mind that he wanted to share. Clearly, nobody ever thinks an interview is going to go badly, particularly not that badly. And he legitimately, in his head, would have thought this was an opportunity to vindicate himself, to clear it all up. And as my background is criminal defence barrister, I'm very familiar with clients who felt if only they explained it, everything would be fine. And I think that was really his motivation, that he clearly felt he had good answers to the accusations and that he would make his life simpler and return to the life he once enjoyed before these terrible accusations and the terrible friendship with Jeffrey Epstein, which obviously caused this cataclysmic outcome for him and many, many young women around the world.
You also describe in your book how Prince Andrew brought along a very unexpected guest with him to your final meeting with him. Tell us more.
Well, absolutely. You can imagine I'd kind of spent a lot of time, hadn't had any sleep, not much food, working out how I was going to do this negotiation with Emily Maitlis, the presenter, and Stuart McLean, the deputy editor. And then the curveball of curveballs. He arrived at the final negotiation with his very charming and nice daughter, Princess Beatrice. And I tell you, the stakes are really raised when you've worked out how to negotiate with a member of the royal family in Buckingham Palace about sexual matters of a most delicate and egregious type. And now you've got to do it in front of his daughter. Well, I tell you, that is the curveball of curveballs in my career.
For sure, for sure. In your meeting with him, he brought up, Pizza Express, as we all know, the lack of sweating, and they became two massive talking points after the interview. Did you ever think he'd actually say those things and share, what he was trying to say in the actual interview? Because it's one thing saying that in a meeting, but when the cameras start rolling, surely you think, oh, they'll never say that because obviously they've twigged the cameras are rolling now.
Well, 100%. We're all familiar with this. I call it the producer's curse. You do a phone call with the guest. They do 10 out of 10. They spill the tea. They tell you everything you want to hear. The second the camera starts rolling, they clam up and they tell you nothing. Now, this was the one time in my career that there was no disparity between the things said in negotiation and the things said on camera. But I certainly did not think until I was sitting there 15 feet behind him in Buckingham Palace on that day that he would actually say all of that on camera. And had he not, nobody would have ever heard it, of course, because, that's not how negotiations work. But once in the public domain, we all heard it, and it changed the way we talk about things. The 1,000 memes, 1,000 jokes, and all from that interview on such a serious subject, of course, but a very light-hearted outcome.
I think you just said that you were 15 feet behind him. The whole world watched that interview. We are still talking about it. But what was it like? Talk us through that, being there in that room, Buckingham Palace, 15 feet behind him. What were you thinking when he was saying all of this? In your job also, were you thinking, like, wow?
I was thinking words we can't use on polite television, but let's say it starts with
Why can't
oh
we
my,
be on later?
It starts with oh my and it ends with God.
Nice.
Yes, we did it. We kept it classy, Brian, kept it classy. And I think my brain was in two parts. So I'm an ex-lawyer, criminal defense, right? So half of my brain was going, oh, my Lord, this is very, very dangerous for you, the things that you're saying. I'm not saying they were untrue, but they were easy to disprove if they were untrue. And then my journalist brain is going, we've won the lottery.
Totally.
Because every single answer is a newsline, it's a global newsline, and it's a global story. So you wish your interviewee no ill, you have an open mind, obviously, on how they're going to perform. But of course, sitting there, I was very well aware of what we had and the kind of impact it might have on him, on the country, and of course, on the litigation against him. So it was profoundly surreal, extremely unsettling, obviously exciting, but mostly overwhelming, to be frank, because I am, an ordinary-ish person thrown into an extraordinary situation. So overwhelming, to be frank.